Welcome to High Ground. My name is Tanner, and today we're going to be going over my predictions for day number 3 of NAL's third stage of the 2022 season. So before we get into those actual predictions, let's talk about what happened in day number 2. I got 3 out of 5 right, and I did say in the previous video I expected to get 2 out of these 3 right. I actually only get 1 out of the 3, so let's go down the line. TSM did defeat Beast Coast. This was no real surprise, but the other 2 sort of were surprises. TSM smoked Beast Coast. Don't really have much to talk about there. TSM looked pretty good. They played Beast Coast and Mirage. Maybe Mirage is actually better than we think, so maybe that makes TSM better than they looked because of, they smoked two of the worst teams. But okay, we'll see how Mirage is going forward, how TSM is going forward, and how Beast Coast might recover if Ferda actually shows up, or maybe they'll just figure things out regardless. Yeah, Parabellum do beat Xset, and not the biggest shock ever. I did say that I wouldn't be super surprised. I did think Xset was going to win, but not the biggest shock ever, especially after beating Oxygen, and especially after being allowed to go back to border. I don't expect anyone's going to be taking Parabellum to border for a decent amount of time. They of course they have the fraggers, and if you're going to try to beat these guys, you're probably going to want to do it not on border, on any other map where it requires a little bit more strategy and structure and whatnot. Yeah, Xset do fall. It's a close game. I think it went 12 rounds. I think it was a 7-5 victory for Parabellum, and I think Xset can definitely bounce back, but maybe they aren't exactly the best team in NA. They did get fourth place the last 2 stages. I don't really expect this is going to kill their chances of making the major, but of course it does kill their chance to go flawless or anything like that. There are 3 teams right now flawless in terms of games and points. Parabellum, Sonics, and TSM are all on 2 wins, 6 points, so they both won in regulation. Yeah, let's talk about the next game, the big surprise for the day. So by all accounts, Astralis should have beaten Mirage, so they go to Theme Park again. This is the same map both of them played on the first day, and they both lost it, but of course Mirage lost it to TSM, and it wasn't very close. Astralis lost it to Dark Zero. It was close, and this is still Astralis' theme park. Should be very, very good. Astralis first place in NAL, both stages. Mirage last place, both stages. Astralis went to the major. Yeah, they went from second place in Charlotte to last place in Berlin, but they still have some figuring out of things as far as playing against some of the crazier international teams, and I don't think it's necessarily indicative of something. They did fall off a little bit just within NA, going from first to first, but they went from 22 points to 16 points. They got far fewer points. Still, first place is first place, but Astralis on theme park, all the other stuff. Yeah, it just seemed like Astralis should have won, but no, Mirage finally they get a win on the board. First time they've beaten Astralis, I guess, this year, and that's the 4th team they've beaten. They've beaten Beast Coast twice, they beat Sonics, and they beat TSM. Now they beat Astralis, and they already have half as many points as they got in stage 1 or stage 2. They got 6 points in each of those stages, 2 wins, and they already have 1 win, 3 points. So a good start for them. Maybe Mirage isn't actually going to be the laughingstock of NAL anymore. It might just be Beast Coast going forward, but I'm not ready to say that Astralis is, or rather I hope I said Mirage before, that Mirage is not the laughingstock of NA. Maybe they will still be. We'll see if this loss was just a fluke for Astralis, if it was just a fluke for Mirage, whatever the case. But okay, that was that game. We'll talk about Mirage a little bit more in the prediction for their next game. Sonics versus Dark Zero. So it's come out now that Hyper's sort of been having some mental issues as far as motivation for the game, so he's going to be stepping away for an indefinite amount of time. It's unclear if and when he'll actually return, and for the time being, Skies is stepping in. Returning to Dark Zero, it's been a while since he was on. It doesn't feel like that long, but it was was it stage 1 last year that he left? Because I think he was an analyst for the Mexico Major, which is stage 2. So yeah, he's back after over a year, maybe a year and a half. And again, it doesn't feel like that long, but it's been a little while. And maybe this was the best person to just slot in, somebody who should more or less understand the system of Dark Zero. Now they have Canadians, so things surely have changed around some. But again, if you're going to bring anybody on at short notice, Skies might work out. But they did have Hyper in this game still, and he didn't do very well. And it makes more sense that Sonics kind of beat down Dark Zero. Maybe more people would have predicted Sonics at the time, if this was known, if it was known Hyper was going to step away after this game. But okay, so in hindsight, yeah, it seemed like Sonics were more the favorite. I felt like at the time, maybe Dark Zero were the slight favorites, with Sonics still having to figure out their new team a little bit. But okay, so yeah, I did predict it right. Sonics defeat Dark Zero. I think it was 7-3, and it was on Clubhouse. Nice Clubhouse game. Oxygen versus SSG. SSG take it down, and now SSG, I think, is on a 4-win streak against Oxygen, and they won 5 out of 6 of the games they played in NAL. and all of them all really close except for one game. I think it was a 7-1 victory for Space Station, but it was like a around 15 win, or no, five game win. I think it's a 5-game win streak. They won in stages 2 and 3 of last year, and they won all 3 stages this year. Yeah, okay, so I think it's a 5-game win streak, and the very first one, Oxygen only won in round 15. Space Station win this one in round 15. They almost got come back on. They were up 6-3, and then Oxygen won 4 rounds in a row, and then Space Station wins 2 to win the game 8-7. So very close, but I did predict it correctly. Okay, so let's talk about day 3 predictions. Xset versus Sonics, definitely the game of the day, I'd say. Maybe some people are really excited for Space Station versus Parabellum. Could also be very good. Same thing with Astralis versus TSM, but for my money, and probably for most people's money, it is this first game. That is the absolute banger for the day. So Xset, I did say that they were potentially the best team in North America coming into the stage. I still think that's possible. It's just 1 week, and they got 1 loss, but maybe it is what it is. And Sonics, I thought maybe the given time, they might become the best roster. They might be on paper the most fearsome, but need a little bit of adjustment time. And maybe this was all the adjustment time they needed. If they keep getting better, it's going to be really, really, really scary, because they beat Dark Zero pretty handily. Again, Dark Zero with some issues perhaps that we weren't aware of at the time, but they beat Space Station. Pretty close game. Gunner and Geo didn't have a spectacular game. Geo was okay. Gunner was pretty bad. Gunner really good in this game, and I think Geo did fine. Everyone did either really well or fine on Sonics in this game. So if they, well, I mean, the only way they can get better is if everybody does well. And so we'll see if that's the case versus Xset. I'd say Xset their toughest opponent so far. I'm going to give it to Sonics. Part of that is I'm just kind of a Sonics fan. I'm really liking Xset these days, but okay, I'm going to go with Sonics. I think it could be Xset. Maybe they showed a little bit of weakness losing to Parabellum, but maybe that was just because they foolishly took Parabellum to Border. This could go either way. Sonics have a losing record against Xset this year. Of course, they got 7-0'd stage 1. That was a terrible stage for Sonics, whatever. In stage 2, I think it went all 15 rounds. It was still an Xset victory. So will Sonics prevent the clean sweep for the year? We'll have to see. I'm going to go with them, and probably they're the underdogs, but they've served me well so far. Well, I guess I predicted against them in the first game, but okay, so they haven't lost yet, I guess is what I should say. Space Station versus Parabellum. So of course I'm inclined to say Space Station. I always want to say Space Station. They've been my favorite team forever, and it becomes harder and harder. They look for a while it's like, oh, they're pretty good. They got hot and cold. They're destroying everybody, and then they're still the best placing team at the NA majors. But now the post-Canadian days just look worse and worse in hindsight. I'd really like to see Bosco and Rampy return to form, and even Fultz. It's sort of hot and cold, usually putting up the best numbers on this team, and then actually it's Houghton and Yeti, the 2 top performers throughout the first 2 games. Parabellum, absolute menace. Their fragging power, perhaps unmatched, but well, rivaled, perhaps unrivaled. I don't know what else I was going to say there, but yeah, Parabellum really, really strong, but they played Border 2 times. Space Station, they've gone to Border sometimes before where it seemed a little bit strange. I think we'll see. I can't imagine they go to Border here. So will Space Station thrive on a different map, or will Parabellum crumble on another map? We'll have to see. I think I'm going to go with Parabellum here. Space Station, a close game versus Sonics. That was the new Sonics first game, and then a very close game, which they almost choked away versus Oxygen. And again, Oxygen doesn't look like the old Oxygen. Maybe they'll get back to it, but for now, Oxygen did not look that good in the first week. So yeah, Parabellum, again, definitely looked better, but they got to play Border twice. So I'm still going to go with them. I'm going to predict against SSG, but, I guess prove me wrong, SSG. Do what you got to do. Astralis versus TSM. Another really good one on paper. The runners-up at Charlotte versus the reigning major champions, and I guess only 3/5 of that roster. TSM was really bad stage 1. They were still pretty bad stage 2, and they've looked really good this stage. They already got 6 points on the board, but that was against Beast Coast and Mirage, and I think I said it before, Mirage might actually be better than terrible. So the bar is pretty low for the bar was set pretty low by previous iterations of Mirage, but maybe they are going to be a lot better now, and if they are better, then of course it's a much more impressive win for TSM. And Astralis hasn't been amazing either, or well, I was talking about Mirage. TSM top of the board. They have 6 points, and Astralis has a single point. They got 1 versus Dark Zero, and they lost to Mirage. And so also note this, of course, TSM beat Mirage beat Astralis. So just in that little hierarchy there, of course, TSM is above. Yeah, Astralis just seemed to have some issues. DP Fire, I think it was like awful in the last game, like 1 in 10. So maybe they just won't go to Theme Park. Maybe Theme Park's not their map now for some reason. They played it twice, and also TSM, won versus Mirage on Theme Park. So you really have to imagine they won't go to Theme Park. Maybe they'll figure their stuff out. But for now, TSM looks well, untouchable, but I'll say it one more time, you know, look who they played against, yeah. But no, the new additions to the roster for TSM look like they are fitting in pretty seamlessly. I guess I'm going to go with them here. And maybe if Astralis had showed less weakness, I might still go with them because, of course, NAL first place back-to-back, TSM 9th place, 8th place. But I'm going to go with TSM here, and even though it feels a little bit strange, it at the same time feels correct. Dark Zero versus Beast Coast. With the whole thing and with Hyper and Skies and whatever, I might have switched if this was against almost any team, but I mean, you can't predict Beast Coast right now. They're so bad. Maybe they'll bounce back. Maybe, and it might need Ferda to actually play, but even, I don't know, they just look so bad that it doesn't seem like that's going to be their salvation. So for now, I am not going to be predicting Beast Coast unless they are really turning things around. I'll go with Dark Zero here. And then Oxygen versus Mirage. Mirage is above Oxygen on the board, strangely enough. They're on 3 points. They got 3 versus Astralis and none versus TSM, and Oxygen got a point against Space Station and none against Parabellum. So yeah, 3 points versus 1. Mirage really bad before, but they finally had a good game. They certainly have had a better game than either of Oxygen's games. A win versus 2 losses. I'm still gonna go with Oxygen here until Mirage show me a little bit more. I'm still gonna have to predict against them. You know, maybe if they do really well here and Space Station does badly here, maybe I'll be going with Mirage here, which seems insane. But yeah, I'm still gonna go with Oxygen, but you know, underdog Mirage, maybe this is their time to rise up. Okay, so let's go down the line one more time and recap. I have Sonics over Xset, Parabellum over Space Station, TSM over Astralis, Dark Zero over Beast Coast, and Oxygen over Mirage. So yeah, those are going to be my predictions. If you have your own predictions, feel free to leave them below. I imagine most people are going to agree with these two, but some people might flip-flop on the first 3, especially this one. I don't know. Let me know what you think, but possibly also these two. So yeah, feel free to leave the full 5 predictions. I always like seeing what people have to say regarding that. But if you have anything else to say, feel free to leave that below as well. Questions, comments, concerns, suggestions, corrections, any of that, yeah, leave them below. A like and a subscription would also be appreciated. Feel free to leave that for me. And yeah, with all of that being said, I will catch you guys in the next video.